Shalakaya Chakshunmalitam Dana Tasmai Shri Guve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupastam Sthapiram Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakaramayam Danutti Svapadantikam Namam Vishnubhada Kashabhasa Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Govani Pachayine Nivashisha Shunyavari Pasachari Sacharine Vanchakapa Trivasa Kripa Sinivevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Yes, so today the topic we want to dedicate this session to Srila Prabhupada. So even though, as most of you know, I am not a Prabhupada disciple directly, actually often people think I must be a Prabhupada disciple because I'm not so young anymore. But no, I have never met Prabhupada. I joined in 1985 and Prabhupada left this world in 1977. Nevertheless, I really like to talk about Srila Prabhupada. I think we cannot even talk enough about Srila Prabhupada. And it is a topic which is very dear to my heart. And I mean, this is the point. Transcendental relationships, they are not dependent on physical proximity, on physical meeting or association. In fact, we can really develop a very deep relationship with a personality like Prabhupada, who we may have never met. That's, a sign of a transcendental relationship, actually, whereas in the material world, we usually connect with those persons who we meet and who we can talk to and see and so on, Yeah, so let me start by shedding some little light onto the topic of Prabhupada's position as the founder Acharya. You may know there is even a little book out on this topic written by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. What was the name? Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, I think, something like that. It is a little technical, this book. It is not so easy to understand. But yeah, when I went through this book, I captured a few little points, and I sometimes like to emphasize them, especially on Prabhupada's appearance day or Prabhupada's disappearance day. So because Prabhupada as a founder Acharya, this is a highly relevant topic because yeah, we have to really get some deeper understanding and appreciation of Prabhupada's unique role as founder Acharya. And this topic is becoming more and more pressing almost, because every year so many Prabhupada disciples are leaving this world. And the day will come sooner or later when there actually will not be any direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada in this world. So we have to very deeply understand Prabhupada's position as a founder Acharya. And very often we say this term, we repeat it. I mean, thinking about myself, for so many years, I was not even more deeply thinking about it, what it actually means that Prabhupada is the founder Acharya. We kind of take it to be some title. That's what I thought for many years. Yes, Prabhupada, he's the founder of ISKCON. Okay, we honor him because he established ISKCON. And it's simply a title. And I think for the first 20 years of my devotional life, I was not even more deeply thinking about this, what it actually means that he is the founder Acharya. So, and it is very natural, that those gurus who are at the moment present here, they leave a stronger impact on us than those personalities who have already left. This is almost natural, you know, because yeah, we are attached to, you know, seeing a person and communicating directly with a person. So it is much easier to relate to a person who is here. And the present acharyas, all our Diksha gurus, that they are easily, that they can be more prominent in our lives than somebody like Srila Prabhupada. But, you know, that means actually that Srila Prabhupada's physical absence has to be compensated by an ever-deepening realization of his Vani, of our connection with him through instruction and through remembrance. So, and that requires more internal work, actually, you know, it requires more internal and deeper work. So let us remember, actually, to develop any relationship requires effort, requires conscious effort, even in our daily lives. You know, we may be surrounded by family members, friends. So unless we actually make a conscious effort to develop a deeper relationship with those personalities, then very easily the relationship will remain very superficial. This is also like that, for example, in our relationship with the Holy Name, right? I do also like to give Holy Name retreats. So with Krishna in his form of the Holy Name, to actually develop a relationship with him, we have to make a conscious effort. It doesn't just happen automatically by time going by. And it's the very same thing also with Srila Prabhupada. So, you know, to develop a deeper relationship with Prabhupada requires conscious endeavor and effort. It's not a matter of just, you know, happening automatically just by being 20, 30, 40 years in ISKCON. It doesn't mean that we develop a stronger relationship with Prabhupada. So we actually have to endeavor for this. And ultimately, Prabhupada's presence in ISKCON has to be so strong, you know, that even when all his direct disciples have left, it will not diminish his presence in ISKCON, you know, because there is a certain authority behind it when we hear Prabhupada disciples say, yes, I remember on the morning walk in 1975 in LA or wherever it may be, Prabhupada said this and this and this. So there is a certain authority there. And very soon we will not really have this anymore, you know. So that actually really puts pressure on all of us, especially the younger generation. I mean, I'm also at the end of my life already. So, but the younger generation, that puts a lot of pressure on them, that they actually have to, you know, imbibe Prabhupada's mood, you know, so that Prabhupada's presence can still be felt for so many future generations to come, you know. So let us understand more deeply what this founder Acharya actually means. So Prabhupada, you know, not only did he carry this message of Krishna consciousness all around the world, and he also re-established the essence of the Vedic knowledge of the Shastra, also for the Hindu community. Often we forget that. You know, we glorify Prabhupada that he brought Krishna consciousness to the Western world, but he did not only do that. You know, I do usually, outside of Corona, I do spend a lot of time in Hindu countries, in India, sometimes Nepal, Bangladesh, I preach there. So I have clearly observed, you know, that without Prabhupada, without Prabhupada's books, the whole Hindu community all around the world would be lost in confusion. So Prabhupada actually re-established for the Hindu community also the very essence of the Vedic literature, of the Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam. That's, I mean, we cannot even understand what Prabhupada actually did, you know. So, but yes, not only did he do that, he brought Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world. He re-established, you know, the Siddhanta, the true Siddhanta to the Hindu community. But he also created, you know, the foundation, the functioning, and also the vision of ISKCON as a global community aiming for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. I mean, that's a big thing that has never been there before. You know, Prabhupada did not think in small terms just to establish some little, you know, Bhakti Yoga society or something, but no, Prabhupada was aiming, you know, at re-spiritualizing the whole humanity of this planet. Yes, to create a spiritual revolution, actually. So that is a real big thing. So naturally, Prabhupada's role will be ongoingly. And actually, Prabhupada's presence should be deeply felt in every devotee's life. Every person of ISKCON, you know, should have a very strong relationship with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's presence should be strongly felt in each and every person of ISKCON, you know, and for the so many centuries to come, you know, because Prabhupada was always saying, you know, that his books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. So that's a long time, 10,000 years, you know. His purports of the Bhagavatam really, yes, give guidance to civilized, cultured human beings, you know, human society for the next 10,000 years, how we are meant to live. So that's a big thing, you know. So founder Acharya is not just a title. And as I was sharing, I was thinking that myself for many years, you know, I never thought about it. And I thought, oh, well, you know, this is title for Prabhupada to honor his contribution that he is the founder of ISKCON. But no, it's so much more than that. It is not just a title, but it is actually a transcendental system. It's a transcendental system to protect and to preserve and to give longevity to this institution which Prabhupada has created, you know. And yeah, so it's actually like a protective system that he is the founder, Acharya, you know, that we have to take up his mood, his vision, his spirit, that this cannot be lost. That's what it actually means. And, you know, some of us probably know there was some incidents when Prabhupada was on the planet that some, I think Bhagavatam, can't remember which one, was published, and they had not written founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. They did not write this on the book. And Prabhupada was so disturbed. And he was not disturbed because, oh, he was offended. They did not put my title there. No, Prabhupada was beyond this. You know, it was not some being offended. No, he was disturbed because he could understand there is some faulty mentality there amongst his disciples. There is, you know, they wanted to, yeah, they were a little bit in Maya and they wanted to diminish his position as being the founder Acharya. We can read this in Satsvarup Maharaj's Lilamrita, actually, it is mentioned there. So Prabhupada was highly alarmed and he was disturbed and he was insisting there has to be founder Acharya on the book, on each book, everywhere, you know, this is even GBC law, on every poster announcing some Rath Yatra, this, that. There also always has to be A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, you know, founder and Jaya of ISKCON, has to be everywhere, you know, just to maintain this understanding that Prabhupada's role, you know, his role has to be ongoingly. And he is the sole and main Shiksha Guru for everyone in ISKCON for the next 10,000 years. And we all have to actually become deeply Prabhupada conscious. You know, so it is a transcendental system in order to protect what Prabhupada actually gave us. That's what it means, the founder Chaya, you know. So, and further we can understand founder Chaya, actually it means that Srila Prabhupada's personal standards and his principles of action and his very spirit, Prabhupada's mood, Prabhupada's spirits, Prabhupada's vision, they take shape in an organization which he created. That's what it means, founder Chaya, you know, yes. So it's so much more than just a title, you know. It means that his personal, you know, principles of action, standards, spirit, mood, takes shape in this organization of ISKCON. That's what it means. So now each member, you know, all of us and so many more, each of us, we actually have to deeply internalize this very spirit. We have to take it into the core of our own identity. It has to become our spirit. And then if each and every devotee in ISKCON takes up Prabhupada's spirit and makes it their own identity, their own spirit, so then Prabhupada's spirit will pervade, you know, this institution ongoingly, because we are carrying that spirit. If we are carrying that spirit, then you know, that spirit will be there as the very essence of ISKCON's culture, and ISKCON's members become a visible embodiment, you know, in this world. We represent, we actually become a visible embodiment of Prabhupada's mood, Prabhupada's principles of action, Prabhupada's standards, Prabhupada's spirit. So we have to all take that up and make it our spirit. And then Prabhupada's presence will be felt for so many future generations to come. You know, that's actually what it means, you know. So once we understand this, we realize what a great, you know, responsibility we all carry. Actually, we should feel this responsibility, this almost this burden, but it's a burden of love, of course. We should feel this on our own shoulders, that actually we have to understand deeply Prabhupada's spirit, Prabhupada's standards, how he wanted things to continue in ISKCON, you know, his principles of action. We have to take up his spirit and make it our own spirit. And in that way, we become a visible embodiment of Prabhupada's spirit. And then Prabhupada will remain, you know, his presence will be felt in ISKCON only if we carry that spirit, you know. So it's quite a deep topic, actually, what it really means that Prabhupada is the founder Acharya. So, and I mean, we are honoring and we are learning from so many acharyas in our line, you know. We have so many acharyas, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and. But Prabhupada as the founder acharya plays a very unique role, you know, very unique amongst all of them. Prabhupada is actually the most important acharya for us, because of that thing, because he, you know, his standards, principles, and so on, he created a society with that, you know. So the others didn't do that. They gave us so many important instructions, but they did not do that they created this ISKCON society, this worldwide Sankirtan movement, you know. Yeah, so therefore, Prabhupada, you know, as founder Acharya, has a very unique position, and his presence has to remain generation after generation. You know, he has to remain the single prominent Shiksha Guru for all of us. That's what it really means, that Prabhupada is the founder Acharya. So, and also we know, maybe we know, Prabhupada was saying, actually, ISKCON is like my body. ISKCON is Prabhupada's body. And Srila Prabhupada himself, he is the soul of this body. Yes. You know, so ISKCON is Prabhupada's body, and Srila Prabhupada himself is the soul of that body. And we all know what happens when the soul leaves the body, then the body becomes dead and useless, you know. So we don't want that to happen, you know. So Prabhupada, that's why Prabhupada's presence, it's so important that this is felt, because if Prabhupada somehow leaves, if we are not Prabhupada conscious, then ISKCON becomes like a dead body. That's what happens, you know. So we have to deeply understand the importance of actually becoming Prabhupada conscious, you know. Yes. So, and I mean, we can really say, we sometimes hear this, that before becoming Krishna conscious, we actually have to become Prabhupada conscious first, you know. Yes. Yes, and I mean, our present Diksha Gurus, let us understand this also. Their main and foremost function is actually to connect us with Srila Prabhupada, and also to give us the initial discipline and training. But the Diksha Guru is meant to connect us with Prabhupada. So our worship of our present acharyas, our Diksha Gurus, does not end with him, but he is like the connecting pipe who connects us with Prabhupada. So our attachment has to actually go further than our Diksha Guru. It has to go to Prabhupada, and then from Prabhupada to Krishna. And this will be so for the next 10,000 years, basically, you know, that all our Diksha Gurus, they connect us with Prabhupada. And this will be ongoingly, because it's interesting to understand that attachment is sitting in the place of the heart of a person. That's where we find attachment. So we catch attachment from the heart of a person who carries it in his heart. We cannot get attachment to anything directly from the object of attachment. So in other words, attachment to Prabhupada, you know, we have to capture from a person who is attached to Prabhupada. So that's our Diksha Guru. Our Diksha Guru is or also Shiksha Gurus as well, not only Diksha Guru. So our Gurus are attached to Prabhupada. So, and by worshipping our Gurus, we capture what he carries in his heart. So we can capture from him his attachment to Prabhupada. So, and once we have that attachment to Prabhupada, then we can function like a touchstone. We can actually pass it on to others, and they can capture our attachment to Prabhupada from our heart. So, and that's, you know, the system of parampara. So for the next 10,000 years, you know, we will all be connected to Prabhupada. You know, so some of our devotees here in our audience, they may have to serve as a Diksha Guru in the future. So then we connect the disciples to Prabhupada, like that, you see. So, yes, and let us maybe now understand how can we more deeply develop our relationship with Prabhupada, and what does it actually mean to be connected with Prabhupada? What does it actually mean? So first of all, our relationship we can, of course, develop by reading his books. Prabhupada was always saying, if you want to know me, read my books. You know, that's one of the main and foremost ways to actually connect with Srila Prabhupada. Because as we were saying, you know, founder Chaya means that Prabhupada's principles of actions, his standards, his visions, his mood, all that, you know, he put into ISKCON as a society. So therefore, it is of the greatest importance that we all deeply understand how Prabhupada actually wanted us to practice Krishna consciousness, and how he wanted us to preach, and how he wanted us to organize our society. So now how do we know this? I mean, he puts everything in his books, really, especially Bhagavatam. The purports of the Bhagavatam have so much rich and deep knowledge there. There's so much wisdom there in his purports. You know, without Prabhupada's purports, we wouldn't even understand the Bhagavatam, really. You know, so he put everything in the Bhagavatam. So that's why it is also a big concern in ISKCON at the moment that, yeah, devotees often don't read so much Prabhupada's books anymore. So this is a little alarming, because that's where we get to understand more deeply Prabhupada's mood, you know, by actually reading and deeply absorbing his instructions, you know. But then also we can get to know Prabhupada by reading all these wonderful books about his life, about his pastimes. I remember when I met the devotees and I joined the ashram in Sydney in Australia, it took me quite a few years to actually read the Bhagavatam, but the books I loved to read was all the different books about Prabhupada's pastimes. You know, there's so many of them. How he saw his diary, and Prabhupada in Australia, and Prabhupada in Germany, and Prabhupada here, Prabhupada there, you know, all of Satsvarup Maharaj's books. That there's so many books. Fortunately, you know, so many of Prabhupada's servants, Shrutakirti Prabhu's book, and Mukunda Maharaj's book about Prabhupada, and there's so many wonderful books, you know. And I experienced that actually reading these books about Prabhupada's life and how he was dealing in all the different situations. Here, Shyama Sundar's book about Prabhupada chasing rhinos with his Swami, you know, the wonderful books. So when you actually read these books, you really feel you are actually meeting Prabhupada as a person, you know. You feel you're right there with him. You get his association. So because I really was devouring all these books about Prabhupada, I actually feel I met Prabhupada. I traveled with him all around the planet, you know, by reading his books. So this really gives us a deep connection to Prabhupada as a personality, you know. So we can even compare it, like, you know, when we see a painting, a piece of art, so we know something about the artist, you know, like reading Prabhupada's books, that's like his artwork he created. But then meeting the person behind, you know, this piece of art, you know, meeting the artist, this is especially conquering the heart, you know. So I personally have this experience reading books about Prabhupada's life is really like meeting Prabhupada himself, you know, and it's a wonderful opportunity just to marvel at Prabhupada's personality, how he was traveling, how he always had the perfect answer to even the most challenging question. Prabhupada had the right answer, you know, and he was never lost for words, you know, and he just acted so perfectly for everybody's upliftment, really. I mean, it's really quite amazing, you know. So that we definitely get to know when we read Prabhupada's, you know, when we read the books about Prabhupada's life. So, and then of course we have Guru Puja every day for Srila Prabhupada in all the temples of ISKCON. But very easily, this can also just become a routine formality, you know, we just go along with the flow there, morning program, and we may not even be so conscious and mindful of what we're actually doing, that we're worshipping Prabhupada. So it is sad if such, you know, practices become just routine and mechanical, you know, in order to actually move the heart and help us to connect with Prabhupada. We have to be conscious and mindful what we are doing there during Prabhupada Guru Puja, and we actually have a prayerful mood towards Prabhupada, you know. And then, of course, yes, we also chant Prabhupada's pranam. You know, we are meant to chant our Diksha Guru's pranam, but then also Prabhupada's pranam in order to remember him more and so on. But all these things very easily can just become a routine thing. And then they will actually not deepen our relationship with Prabhupada if we just mindlessly and mechanically do these things. So that's why I find it very important that every now and again we hear about Prabhupada and we try to more deeply understand his unique role. And also one important thing, which I find many devotees in ISKCON, they don't do this. On Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja and also on Prabhupada's disappearance day, we should actually glorify Prabhupada, you know. Definitely on his Vyasa Puja, on his appearance day, but also on his disappearance. I mean, sometimes I observe these things, that Prabhupada's disappearance is not properly celebrated in temples, you know. There may just be a little class about Prabhupada in the morning, and then half-day fast, maybe a little Pushpanjali, that's it. I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible. There has to be a proper festival, you know. Yes, where everybody should speak, at least the senior devotees, you know, they should speak, they should glorify Prabhupada. They have to remember what Prabhupada, how Prabhupada changed their life, you know, and they have to express this. Yes, it's very important. There should be some offerings cooked for Prabhupada, you know. I mean, this is even a GBC rule, but yeah, we have so many rules, but then to actually implement them is a different challenge. But the GBC rule is that the Vyasa Pujas of our present gurus should not be bigger in more grandiose style than Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. You know, that's a ISKCON law. But yeah, as we all know, Prabhupada's appearance is the day after Janmashtami. So very often devotees are tired, you know, they were up till midnight, had a feast at midnight, and then the next day another festival. And then very often Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja is just a 2-hour thing from 10 to 12. You know, 12 o'clock, everybody wants to break the fast, you know. I mean, this is terrible. This is really terrible. I mean, usually for the last 20 years, or let's say last 15 years, I have one favorite temple in Ukraine where I'm every year for Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja and for Janmashtami in Kharkov in Ukraine. So last year I couldn't be there, of course, because of Corona. But they are over 15 years. I don't want to glorify myself, but by my humble endeavor, we established a really nice Prabhupada Vyasa Puja program. And we don't stop at 12. We don't break the fast at 12 or 1. We go through the whole day to 5 o'clock. Only at 5 o'clock we offer the feast and eat. We fast the whole day. And those who are really hungry, all right, let them, go out and eat a banana there in the corridor or something, But no, we don't stop at 12 and eat at 1. No. Because usually Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja starts maybe earliest at 10 o'clock after Janmashtami being up and so on. So, and sometimes even it starts later, but we insist, 10 o'clock we start. And we have a wonderful program with a video class that Prabhupada gives. And then somebody speaks about Prabhupada at length. And then we read homages from different Prabhupada disciples, gurus, GBC from that area, So, and then so many devotees speak. And this took me several years to establish this, because in the beginning, people were shy, no, I don't want to speak about Prabhupada. Who am I to talk about Prabhupada? And I pushed them. I said, even if you just say, thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada, for what you have done for me. But you have to say something you have to say. It's for our own purification, And it took a few years for devotees to take up that mood. But now it's such a nice mood there, and going really from 10 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Only then we offer the feast and have Pushpanjali and final kirtan. And yeah, and I find this so important, And usually I don't even want to be anywhere else for Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, because I just cannot tolerate these quick Vyasa Pujas there. We're all tired, we are hungry. Let's quickly get it over and done within 2 hours. Oh no, this is heartbreaking for me, Because for our present acharyas, we make such big Vyasa Pujas, the whole day, sometimes several days, But then for Prabhupada, 2 hours, what is this, And Simon Prabhupada's disappearance also, there has to be a proper festival with nice decoration and garlands for Prabhupada and devotees glorifying Prabhupada and so on, that is so purifying, I had the good fortune when I joined ISKCON in Australia, there was quite a few Prabhupada disciples there, in our community. They're still there. And they trained us like that, So we write in the Brahma, I was 4 years Brahmachari there. So we had to write a Vyasa Puja homage for Prabhupada. And even if there was not enough time to read it, so then we were just reading it quietly later to Prabhupada Murti, But we were sitting down and putting something on paper, and we were meditating what Prabhupada did for us and what amazing personality he is, and we were glorifying him. And this is so purifying to the heart, and it brings us closer to Prabhupada. It actually is an amazing tool to develop a deeper relationship with Prabhupada. If we do this 2 times a year, appearance, disappearance, if we just do that, really from the heart, not just copying something from the Prabhupada Vyasa Puja book or something, but really deeply thinking, and meditating on Prabhupada's greatness, that really develops a deeper relationship with Prabhupada, And on my travels, I often observe that devotees are not in this habit. And I even heard people saying, Vyasa Puja homage for Prabhupada, well, he is not my guru, My God, what is this? He's the founder acharya. We owe our life to Prabhupada. So how can we think, he's not our guru, we don't have to write a homage for him or something, Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I I had the good fortune, I was trained like this. And for the 36 years where I'm in ISKCON, every year I've written a Prabhupada Vyasa Puja homage, every single year for 36 years. So if we do this, then actually a relationship develops, very clearly. But if we don't do this, oh, well, then it doesn't develop, Yeah, so these are just a few little points how we can actually develop this relationship with Prabhupada, even though we have never met him, So now let me mention a few little points, what it actually means to be connected to Prabhupada. And this, I once heard a very deep explanation what it means to be connected to Guru or be connected to Prabhupada. So, and there is a little analogy of an electric wire. An electric wire has two aspects. It has the plastic insulation around the wire, but then it also has the copper part, the copper wire, So now, of course, the question is, so what is the more important part of the wire? Well, both parts have a certain role and certain importance, but obviously the copper part is what actually transmits the electricity, right? That's the copper. And the plastic around it, or the rubber, or whatever it may be, that is basically the outside part, the insulation part. So now we can compare the plastic part, the plastic insulation part, to the mere formality of diksha, of taking initiation. That's like the outside insulation of the wire. It also plays a role, it has a function, but it is a more external aspect, It's not the aspect which really transmits the electricity or which really gives the connection to Prabhupada. It's not only the initiation. There's so many devotees who were initiated by Prabhupada, but where are they today? So just the mere initiation is not what builds the actual connection. The actual connection is compared to the copper wire. And that is signifying the internal dependence on Prabhupada. So feeling deeply in the heart, internally, dependent on Prabhupada, on his guidance, on his mercy, on his blessings. That's what it means to be connected to Prabhupada. Feeling helplessly dependent on Prabhupada's mercy, on Prabhupada's blessings, on Prabhupada's guidance. That's what it means to actually be connected. So now we can all look at ourselves, we can all reflect, we can all introspect, and we can see, well, how much am I actually feeling helplessly dependent on Prabhupada's mercy and Prabhupada's guidance? Do I feel helplessly dependent on Prabhupada? Where is Prabhupada in my life here? Do I actually feel without Prabhupada's mercy, without Prabhupada's guidance, without Prabhupada's blessings, I actually cannot do anything? Do I really feel like this? So if we can detect this feeling in our heart that we actually feel hopelessly dependent on Prabhupada, that means there is some connection there. But if we don't have such kind of feeling at all in our heart, and maybe Prabhupada is not even so much present in our life, then, obviously, connection is not so strongly there, you know. And we can actually compare, we can say, if this feeling of helpless dependence on Prabhupada's mercy and guidance and blessings is not there, then we can compare our connection with Prabhupada to a very slow internet connection. I'm sure we all have that experience, what it's like if our internet connection is very, very slow. You know, so on the computer or on the phone, it says, yes, we are connected, but you can't download anything. You can't download any message, nothing. It's so slow. So that's what it's like if this internal dependence is not there. If we are only connected through Diksha maybe, or we, the next generation, not even that. If that internal dependence is not there, then all right, some connection is there through our Diksha Guru. He somehow connected us, but it is such a weak connection that we actually cannot download anything. So it's a very nice comparison, because I'm sure we all have had this experience in our life, you know, what it is like if the internet is so slow that we cannot download anything. Yeah, so this is exactly what we experience in our life. If this internal helpless dependence on Prabhupada is not there, then all right, somehow externally, you know, there's some formal connection there, but we cannot receive that flow of empowerment, that flow of mercy coming through the whole parampara, you know, directly from Mahaprabhu through our acharyas. You know, we cannot receive that flow of empowerment and mercy. And that means, you know, the connection is somehow, it's blocked. No nectar can flow through, you know? Yes. So through this helpless dependence on Prabhupada, that connects us. Then we can receive that flow of mercy and empowerment, you know, if we actually helplessly feel dependent on Prabhupada's guidance and blessings and mercy. And Prabhupada himself actually demonstrated this principle very nicely in his own life. And at this point, I would like to introduce you to this wonderful book, Our Srila Prabhupada, A Friend to All. This is where I got the title for this session from. This is a compilation by Mula Prakriti Devi Dasi. She is a disciple of Prabhupada. She already left this world, but she had this amazing idea to interview all kinds of personalities who knew Prabhupada before he ventured to the Western world. And she was interviewing them, and they were sharing their memories, their you know, association with Prabhupada, their realizations, and so on. And many of these personalities which she interviewed, they already also left this world. So she had this amazing idea to do this valuable service of capturing these memories of people who knew Prabhupada before he even left India. And I mean, this book, I really highly recommend you to get it if you haven't got it yet, because it gives insights into Prabhupada's life, which we cannot get in any other way, only through this book, you know, because especially it gives us insights about Prabhupada's life before he came to America. So what do we know about his life before he came to America? Not much at all, only what Prabhupada himself shared. But in this book, you will capture some little glimpses, some little insights in Prabhupada's personal bhajan, in his very personal spiritual practice in his life, how he prepared himself at Radha Damodar temple for this mission. I mean, it's really heart moving. And in this book, there is this one nice story, which you may have heard already, but it is so wonderful. I like to tell it again and again. The Pujari at Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur is telling the story, how Prabhupada used to come there for many years. He was, still wearing white, actually, before he even took sannyas. He used to regularly come there every 1 or 2 months, and he used to spend all day praying there, all day, simply chanting his rounds. And this Pujari is describing how tears would flow down Prabhupada's cheeks, And he would just come in the morning, chant all day on his beats, and leave in the evening. And every time he would thank him for his service at Advaita Acharya's house. So, and then for some time he didn't come anymore. But then one particular day he came again. And this time he was in saffron. He had taken sannyas. And again, he spent the whole day chanting japa there in deep concentrated meditation, tears flowing from his eyes. So, and then afterwards he paid his Dandavat pranams for a long time on the floor there, paying obeisances and lying there for a long time, praying again. And then when he got up, this Pujari, the first time he actually talked to him, and he asked him, "Oh, who are you? I remember you from so many years. You have been coming here. So who are you?" So then Prabhupada introduces himself. "Yes, my name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami," and so on. I'm a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, and then Prabhupada shares, "So my Guru Maharaj has given me this impossible mission. And tomorrow I will go on the ship to America. And I have no idea what will befall me there, what I will encounter there." And then Prabhupada expresses, "I feel completely helpless. I feel so helpless. How can I fulfill this mission which my Guru Maharaj has given me? I have no clue how I will do it. And therefore I'm coming here and simply begging for help, for mercy, for guidance. Because here at Advaita Acharya's house, this is where the whole Sankirtan movement started, where Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Mahaprabhu, where they were meeting, So, and there Prabhupada shares how he feels unqualified, helpless, So he was actually praying, he was calling out in helplessness there for so many hours, the day before he went on the Jaladuta. He spent all day praying there. I mean, we can just imagine the day before we go anywhere, fly anywhere, we probably have so many more important things to do than sitting there and praying all day, when we go to India or the Holy Dham or whatever. We're busy running around doing this and that. But this was what was most important for Prabhupada, to actually go to Advaita Acharya's house and simply pray to his guru and the previous acharyas for mercy, for guidance, for blessings. So Prabhupada expressed this there. So, and then he was simply asking the Pujari again for blessings. And he walked off. So, and then years later, it was in 1980 actually, then Prabhupada got a copy of the Back to Godhead magazine. And already before that, he saw, there's white Vaishnavas coming and saris and dhotis to Advaita Acharya's house. Oh my God, this has never happened before. What's going on? And he shares in the story, he shares that he never talked to any of them, the Western devotees. But then once in 1980, this American devotee gave him a copy of the Back to Godhead magazine. And then when he was going through the Back to Godhead magazine, he came across a picture of Prabhupada. And then he realized, wow, this is Prabhupada who was here praying for so many years, for mercy and guidance. So, and then he came to Mayapur and he told this story, Yeah, so I mean, these are really deep secrets of Prabhupada's bhajan, which he would never tell anybody himself. He would never say, oh, guess what? I was praying for so many hours there the day before I stepped on the Jaladuta. He would never say that. Sadhu keeps his secrets of his personal bhajan very confidential and private, And there's another similar story also in this wonderful book. One personality shares this who lives in Vrindavan next to Radha Damodar temple. I mean, Radha Damodar temple, this is probably one of the most important holy places in Vrindavan for all of us, because that's where Prabhupada started, to prepare himself for this whole mission, Prabhupada's room and so on, So in any case, this person shares how he was living right next to Radha Damodar temple. And at night, he always heard some calling, some crying. And he was wondering, what is this? What is this noise going on there outside? So, and then once upon a time, it was a full moon night, he got up on the roof of his house, and it was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And again, he heard this crying and lamenting. So, and then he looked down in the courtyard of Radha Damodar temple, and he saw Prabhupada there with a little broom. He was sweeping the floor outside Rupa Goswami Samadhi. He was sweeping the floor and with a little broom, and he was calling out, hey Rupa, hey Sanatan Goswami, please, give me your mercy, give me your guidance. Please help me. How can I fulfill this order of my spiritual master? He was calling out like this every night, sweeping the floor outside Rupa Goswami Samadhi, Yes, very hard moving, again, something that Prabhupada would have never shared with any of his disciples. And only by the mercy of this wonderful book, we get some little glimpses, inside Prabhupada's life, how he actually prepared himself, So with these wonderful stories, that they demonstrate this very principle, that this is what it means to be connected, to feel helplessly dependent on the blessings, on the mercy, on the guidance of Guru and the previous acharyas. That's what it means to be connected. And because Prabhupada himself, even though he is the Shaktivesha avatar, he feels so unqualified, so helpless and dependent on his Guru and the previous acharyas. And that's what empowered him, through this feeling of helpless dependence. Then he can receive that empowerment, that mercy, the flow of Shakti, which comes through the parampara, So very often I'm thinking to myself, if we would just have one drop of this mood, feeling helplessly dependent on Guru, on Prabhupada, then we could probably achieve so much more in our preaching efforts, But unfortunately, we think, oh, I can do it too. I can do it, or no problems. Yes, I'm going out and preaching. So then, of course, Krishna says, all right, if you can do it all, then you don't need my empowerment. So then go ahead and do it, But actually, it's said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we cannot actually spread Krishna consciousness. We cannot spread the chanting of the holy name unless we have a little bit of empowerment. We out of our own strength, we cannot. We need the empowerment of the Lord. And how do we get this? by feeling helplessly dependent on Prabhupada's mercy, on Prabhupada's guidance, on Prabhupada's blessings, then we will receive it, Yes. Yes. So, and I mean, there's also another secret of Prabhupada's success, and he actually expressed that in one lecture. I think it was on Bhakti Siddhanta's appearance or disappearance. I cannot quite remember. Where he actually himself in that lecture, he shares his 2 secrets of success. So the first one is this point we just discussed, this internal dependence. And then the second secret of success is that Prabhupada really had this willingness to completely sacrifice his very life in Guru's mission. Yes. Prabhupada himself shares this, that he saw one purport of, I think it was Bhakti Siddhanta somewhere or something. I should have looked it up, but I didn't. But he saw somewhere an instruction from Bhakti Siddhanta where he says that a disciple has to be willing to sacrifice his very life in the mission to his guru. And then he kind of, Prabhupada, when he heard that the first time, he clicked and he realized, yes, I have to be willing to sacrifice my life in serving and pleasing Guru. So these are like the 2 main, the 2 main secrets of success, this internal dependence and being willing to go out of our comfort zone and really sacrifice ourselves. The spirit should really be, this life is for you, Prabhupada. I'm willing to, sacrifice myself in your mission and do whatever, I can possibly somehow sacrifice, Yes. Well, maybe I'll see if we have any comments or additions. There's a few more little pastimes I could briefly touch upon if there is nothing coming from your side. But maybe we see if we have any questions, any comments. We have Gopish Prabhu there. He is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Maybe he wants to say something. Or maybe let's ask our attendants to maybe switch on their videos so we see their smiling faces. Usually I do that in the beginning, but I forgot. Do we have anybody who wants to say anything? Gopish Prabhu, thank you for joining us.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for a wonderful seminar, as always. So sweet. Really appreciating the concentration and the focus you've put on worshiping Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasa Puja and on his disappearance day. I live here in New Vrindavan, for those who aren't aware. We have a lot of Prabhupada disciples here. And I've noticed over the years that, fewer and fewer, come to that program, which hurts a bit, but, it's not for me to judge what's in somebody else's heart. I'm there and I'm a rascal, and they're not there and they're great souls. So what can I say? But still, but what we do is we have 2 or 3 hours in the morning where we're all going up and speaking, and we do break fast at noon, but then we go to Prabhupada's palace in the evening and we do it again. And the mood up there is very sweet.
Okay.
Sitting in front of Srila Prabhupada in the palace and offering our appreciations to him. But I have noticed exactly what you're saying. Even here, the younger disciples, they think, oh, it's Prabhupada's disappearance day. I don't need to go for that. It's not my guru's disappearance day. And so that, so it's not so much, not as much participation as I think we'd really like to see.
Yes.
One of the things I've been doing recently, just to help my focus, like this morning, I was online, the morning program, and for Tulsi Puj, I pulled up the translation so I could be reading the translation while we're chanting those prayers. So because this is slightly tangential, but I will bring it back. I wonder how many, when they're chanting the prayers to Tulsi Puj, actually understand what it is they're saying. It is an unbelievably intimate prayer to be engaged in the service of the gopis and Sri Radha and Krishna. I mean, it shocks me that Srila Prabhupada gave us this prayer and this Tulsi Puj, so early on. I mean, it's very intimate and very deep. So the prayers to Srila Prabhupada, it's the same way. When leading Mangalartik, I'm meditating on what it actually means. What am I really saying to Srila Prabhupada? What am I singing? What am I offering to Prabhupada? And of course, at most temples they do, for Guru Puj, they begin with the English, the lotus feet of our spiritual master, and like that.
Yes.
So thinking about and meditating that, because you brought this up, and it was so nice and such a nice focus and meditation. And even the prayers to Srila Prabhupada, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, do we think about what it means when we say it? I find myself, I say it a lot, but am I thinking about what am I saying to Srila Prabhupada? What am I saying when I say these words? So anyway, that's been a focus for me lately, is just to really be conscious of what it is I'm actually saying, not just to say make some noise, make some sound vibration, but think about what it means and feel that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I believe Prabhupada was also saying before becoming Krishna conscious, we have to become conscious first. And that's often our problem. We are just so unconscious and we are just going externally through the motions, but we are not mindful what we're really doing, But you first comment, that even in a place like New Vrindavan, often the Prabhupada disciples don't come. I mean, it's almost a little scary when we think, 20 years ahead, when there may not be any Prabhupada disciples around anymore, then very easily, all right, Prabhupada's appearance, yeah, it's just, okay, yes, some fasting day or what. I mean, it's sad, it's alarming. I find it very alarming. And that's exactly what it means, that Prabhupada is the founder acharya, that we have to, carry Prabhupada within us, his mood, his spirit, his standards, and only then Prabhupada will still be present in ISKCON for the next so many generations. But if this is not there and devotees think, oh, he's not my guru, this is terrible, terrible. And then we're really running the risk that, Krishna consciousness easily becomes something else, we will get off the track, this risk is there, So yeah, that's why I often like to highlight this whole topic of founder acharya, what that actually means, that it has a very deep significance, and we have, it's our responsibility of the younger generation to really make sure Prabhupada's presence is still felt in the future generations to come. And I mean, when I travel, I can often feel some differences, you know. In some temples, there is more Prabhupada consciousness there, and Prabhupada is actually really in the presence, you know, in the center. But then in other temples, you know, even it starts with the care of Prabhupada Murti or something, you know, a bit neglected, and, you know, and there's just not that Prabhupada consciousness there, you know. Yeah. You wanted to
If
add
I could say,
something?
I did. Because if we think an analogy, I don't know about every one of us and how many of us grew up close to grandparents, but I think those that did remember that if whenever we thought about grandparents coming to visit for the holidays or going and visiting grandparents, it was always very exciting because we meant, oh, presents, gifts. They're so kind to us. You know, our grandparents are so sweet. You know, our parents are always telling us, do this and do that. But grandpa, grandma, oh my goodness, I've got them wrapped around my little finger. They'll give me anything I want. If I can't get it from mom and dad, I'm going to grandpa. I know he'll give it to me. Or grandma will cook me exactly what I want to eat. Srila Prabhupada, you know, for most of the people who are here on this, I think, in this meeting, is their grandfather. So
Yes.
they're missing out on some very easy mercy
Yeah.
by not going to grandpa. And Prabhupada told us this about Bhakti Siddhanta. And
Yes.
you made that comment about how they connect us to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, it's not that it stops at Prabhupada, and I know you know that, of course. Then it goes to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. Prabhupada says, oh, you're just here. My spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, sent you to help me.
Yes.
You're so very kind.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And you're helping me to serve him. So then that's connecting to him. And of course, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, Srila Bhakti Thakur, like that, you know, the connection is all the way back to Krishna. So we have to remain on that chain.
Yes.
Remain on the chain.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I also have the feeling sometimes devotees may think that to directly pray to Prabhupada may even be offensive. We may be jumping over our guru or something, but no, it's not. You know, in the beginning, of course, in the beginning of our Krishna consciousness, we do concentrate more on our Diksha Guru and we connect with him. But then he is meant to connect us further. And as we practice sincerely and we accept discipline and training from our Diksha Gurus and we get to know Prabhupada more deeply, we can actually also feel direct connection with Prabhupada and we can pray to him and he gives guidance. Yes, you know, yes. So we should not feel that this is somehow, you know, offensive and we're jumping over guru or something. No, you know, our Diksha Gurus are meant to connect us with Prabhupada. And since he is the founder Acharya, you know, that's why it is so important to really cultivate and work hard on establishing a deeper relationship with Prabhupada. Of course, as you're saying, the other acharyas are there also, and they have given us also so many valuable jewels. But still, Prabhupada is unique. He's more important than all the others because he is the founder acharya of ISKCON. You know, so that's why, you know, we have to really endeavor to become Prabhupada conscious, so that, and if if everybody becomes Prabhupada conscious, then Prabhupada's presence can be felt, you know. But if we are not Prabhupada conscious, then Prabhupada will fade away, you know, and then ISKCON becomes like a dead and useless body. Soul is leaving, you know, and that we cannot do that to Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement, you know. Maybe if there's no other comments, is there anything else, Elder Prabhu?
Yes, there is one question from Kirti Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, what does it mean to carry the spirit of Prabhupada? Is it possible to carry mood of Prabhupada even being in woman body?
got nothing to do with which body you're in. I mean, I'm also in a woman's body, you know. I mean, as we explained, you know, we have to get to know Prabhupada by reading his books, you know, and under the guidance of senior devotees, and reading books about Prabhupada's life, so we get to know him more personally, you know, and become Prabhupada conscious and deeply understand what he wanted from us, you know, how he wanted Krishna consciousness to be practiced, you know. That's what it means to take up his spirit and his consciousness, you know, his standards and so on. I do want to maybe finish the talk by sharing one more nice little story from this book, Our Srila Prabhupada. I can really only recommend you to get it. There's so many wonderful stories, but one is especially sweet and yeah, unique. It was when Prabhupada managed to print the 3rd volume of the 1st canto of the Bhagavatam when he was in Vrindavan, Radha Damodar temple. And let us first of all understand that in those days, when Prabhupada actually desired to really go to the West, it was almost a crazy idea for somebody like Prabhupada to actually go to America. It seemed so unrealistic, because when you read this book, you get some insights how poor Prabhupada actually was. He did not even have money to buy a nice cloth or anything. There's heart-moving stories in this book, you know, like once, for example, in Delhi, Prabhupada was printing his Back to Godhead magazine. It was like a newspaper then type thing. You know, he was printing it in Delhi, and he was sometimes trying to collect some funds there. And one summer midday, hot, scorching sun, you know, he was waiting outside of some rich man's house for several hours. So one person came past and he asked him, oh, you know, he knew Prabhupada. So he asked him, oh, who are you waiting for? And Prabhupada said, I'm waiting for this man. He wanted to give me a 5 rupee donation. So of course, in those days, 5 rupees was a little bit more than what it is now. So maybe it was 200 rupees or something, but still it was not that much, you know. So, and Prabhupada waited there. So this man came past again 3 or 4 hours later. Prabhupada was still standing there. So then this man asked him, oh, you didn't get the 5 rupee donation yet? And Prabhupada said, no, but I'm waiting here. So then this man felt so sorry for Prabhupada. He said, you come with me. I will give you 5 rupees. You know, and then he said to Prabhupada, I will give you 10 rupees. And then Prabhupada, in a very cheeky way, he asked, can you give me 10 rupees every month? So that was, like we can say, that was the beginning of what we call, at least in Bangladesh, we call this program Nitya Seva program, you know, when people commit to making a monthly donation, you know, a monthly contribution, you know. So that little story was the beginning of it, you know. So then this man who took him there, he bought him some new cloths because his dhoti was all torn and everything, you know. So Prabhupada was actually in a very impoverished position. But of course, it was not material poverty, you know. It was actually a special arrangement by Krishna, you know, to make Prabhupada even more helplessly dependent on Krishna, you know, to really make this relationship more sweet and deep, you know. So Krishna put Prabhupada in this poor position, and that even highlighted even more so Prabhupada's success, that such a poor person manages to bring this Krishna consciousness all around the world, you know. If Prabhupada had been rich, then everybody would have said, oh, well, yeah, he had the money, you know, so of course he was successful. But no, he had nothing. you know. So that really highlighted Prabhupada's success even more, and it made it even more clear that this is really the special mercy of the Lord also, you know. So in any case, so, you know, Prabhupada's, you know, associates there in Vrindavan, they actually, nobody believed that Prabhupada would ever make it to the West. And they also didn't encourage it very much, because in those days, people from Vrindavan, they were afraid to leave India, leave Vrindavan, go to the Malacca countries. You know, they didn't want to go there. And an old Swami, why you shouldn't even cross the ocean. So they were not so in favor. They were not really encouraging Prabhupada at all. You get the idea when you read this book, you know. So in any case, so then it happened so that Prabhupada had just printed the 3rd volume of the Bhagavatam. And he was so overjoyed, you know, that he managed to print the 3rd volume. So, and Prabhupada used to regularly attend different sanghas there in Vrindavan, you know, and you find this, you get some information when you read this book, you know, they are sharing how Prabhupada came to different sanghas and so on, and how they really, you know, valued him and how he was so special and this and that, you know. So, and then Prabhupada went to one of these sanghas and he took his 3 volumes of the Bhagavatams with him, some brick, you know, red brick, you know, printed copies there, you know. So, and then at that program, he was sharing, he was saying to everybody, yes, so today I managed to get the 3rd volume of the 1st canto printed. So, and then he actually wanted to get the blessings of his associates to go to America, but he knew their minds. He knew that they were not in favor, you know, of him going. But nevertheless, Prabhupada was so determined, he wanted to get the blessings of them. So Prabhupada came up with a really sweet trick, you know. So what he did, he said, so here are the books. So please, you bless these books that they will go to America. And he passed around these 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam, and they all thought, yes, no problem, we can bless the books. You know, they were all putting their hands on the books. Yes, we are blessing the books. Yes, very nicely. Yes, no problem. We are blessing the books. So, and then after that, Prabhupada said, so now you have blessed these books, but somebody has to take them there. Somebody has to take them to America. They can't go by themselves. So now you please bless me that I can take these books over to America and that I can propagate them there. And this sadhu who is sharing this story in this book, he's saying that, you know, Prabhupada really conquered his heart with this sweet little transcendental trick, you know, when Prabhupada in such humility, he then asked them, so you please bless me now so I can bring the books there, you know. How can they go by themselves? So, and he actually shares, you know, that actually he felt some special, you know, his heart was somehow especially surcharged with a special, you know, power, and he felt so moved, and he actually really wholeheartedly blessed Prabhupada to go to the West, you know, by this sweet little trickery there that Prabhupada did, you know. And so, yeah, and probably not only he felt like that, but his other associates also. So then they wholeheartedly, actually, they gave their blessings to Prabhupada, you know, seeing how determined and how humble and yeah, how he was full of the spirit of sacrifice and his determination to somehow go there and preach, you know, that really moved their hearts then, you know, so they gave their blessings to Prabhupada. You know. And there's so many more wonderful, wonderful stories, you know. So yeah, please get this book, and it will, it will give you insights into, you know, Prabhupada's life, which we don't know much about it, you know. This part before he actually came to the Western world, you know. Very, very special book. Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right, so it's 1 minute, before 6 o'clock p.m. here in Germany. I'm still in Simhachalam. Maybe those who joined a few classes, they see I'm in a different room here. We had a thunderstorm the other day, and everywhere the internet was knocked out. And yeah, just one devotee who's got a studio here for his YouTube channel, he managed to fix his internet. Nobody had internet here. You know, the lightning really hit all our routers, you know, so everything is broken down. So I went to his studio here, so that's why I have a different background there. Yes. All right, so, and next Saturday, I'm also planning to give again a seminar, same time, same link. Topic will be respect, the foundation of intimacy in Bhakti. Basically, the culture of respect being so important, the foundation to devotional life, and also the foundation to true intimacy. You know, we often have this misunderstanding, thinking that respect is just some formality and it's impersonal. No, it's the foundation to intimacy, not only in married life or anything, but in all relationships. And it is really the main and foremost foundation to actual Krishna consciousness, even receiving spiritual knowledge. If the foundation of respect is not there, we are lost, you know. And this is also one of the topics which is really close to my heart, you know, because, a culture of sense gratification usually goes hand in hand with a culture of disrespect. Because sense gratification means you use others for your gratification. So you will only do this if you don't respect them. Sometimes this is all pretty subtle, you know. But sense gratification always goes together with disrespect. You know, if we don't have respect, then we are happy to use others and use other situations, you know, for our gratification, or even use Mother Earth, nature, you know, exploit, you know, disrespect, you know, because of sense gratification. So yeah, topic for next week, Saturday, same time, same link, is the culture of respect. So I hope you will join us again, and I will see you then again. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. So please do something for your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Try to, you know, be more conscious and endeavor and cultivate some internal dependence and so on. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki, Swami Vivekananda ki,
Thank you very much.
Gaura Premanandi, Hari
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 Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you very much.